Yeah. Well, today I wanted to talk about failure and why failure isn't as bad as a lot of people think it is. So, well, throughout my life, of my 18 years of living, I've honestly failed a lot. So, let me start off with the earliest memory I can remember of like a huge failure. And I remember in like, well, this is one example. I remember in like secondary school, there was one particular term, and I got an F in math. So I had to do the exam again during like the summer. You know, it's break, everyone's enjoying their break, and I'm studying for a math exam, like me and a couple other people. I also remember like eventually, I did the exam and it was better, and I'm allowed to go to the next grade. And at the end of like secondary school, we all take this exam for like a couple countries in our continent take it. And well, it was definitely better than the type of grades I was getting before then. So I was pretty glad with that. And some of the other like external exams I'd taken. And another thing that I really, well, kind of failed at is even with like women and shit. I remember over the summer, I usually just cold approach like any woman I saw. I'll be on like an e-bike riding around DC and I'll just see one woman. I'll be like, oh, give a compliment, ask for a number. A lot of the time it would be a no. Very few times it would be a yes, even in like school and shit. And like again, it really doesn't matter. And another thing I also did was with cold calls. So I was making cold calls a while ago, and sometimes I'll like start a call. And I remember one time, I think it was around my first 10 calls. So I called someone and they literally, I'm talking, I'm like telling him what I'm about to do or what I called him for. He listens the whole time. Then he said my name and it was like, don't ever fucking call this number again. And he hung up. But yeah, so with all of these and, a couple other things, even if you're applying for a job or, you know, I remember another thing as a career for, I met this guy. I was talking with him. I messaged him. I think he replied back, asked him like a question. I messaged him again. He just never responded. And with a lot of these things, the point I'm trying to make is that I have 2 points I'm trying to make. Is that the first one is that all these failures or rejections don't matter as much as people think it does. The reason you think it matters is because make it, you think other people's opinions dictate your worth. And the second thing is that it's honestly better to fail than be the type of person who just never tries. Because it's better to be filled with, you know, better to fail than to be filled with regret, thinking, oh, what if I had done this? What would have happened if I had done this? You know, what if I actually tried making videos or tried working out or I went to talk to that girl and all of that shit. And, you're just filled with what ifs instead of, okay, I did this, this happened. It's not the outcome I desired, but, at least I tried. At least I'm proud of myself for, putting myself out there and trying something different because that's where real growth comes from. You're never going to get something first try, at least something worthwhile or something difficult will never come to you the first time. It's always going to take multiple attempts, multiple setbacks, and such. Like I said, it reminded me of when I first had my first YouTube channel and I was making, first off, I started with gaming videos and those didn't make a lot of views. So it was like Clash Royale and GTA on mobiles like San Andreas, Vice City, and 3. Then I moved to making football edits. I downloaded CapCut. I looked at other videos, I figured it out myself instead of even like screen recording. I remember the first couple videos I made, instead of screen recording clips on YouTube from like clip channels of players, I would literally just search up the player's name on Google and download like GIFs of them and use those on like comparison edits. They were pretty shit, honestly. But over time, I kept posting over and over every single day, thinking of new ideas, making them, even downloading another app, a light motion, to improve the quality of the edits and stuff. So now it has like shakes, so the quality is better. And yeah, one of the videos like magically blew up. So it seems like luck, but at the same time, it's because I worked a lot for it and I posted every single day. I probably uploaded like 200 plus videos at the time when that video blew up. And it got me to like 58K subs with some other videos. And it's the same thing, even with fitness. The first time I started, I don't think I could do a push up or anything like that. I probably was benching. I remember I had adjustable dumbbells and I was benching like 6.5 kilos when I first started, or 5 kilos on each arm. Like, bro, I was so insanely weak. I couldn't do a push up. I had to do incline push ups on a fucking study table. The study table's over there, and I'm doing this, like pretty much almost standing up, trying to do a push up. And then when I got better at those, I did like incline push ups on my bed. Then eventually I could finally do push ups on the floor. So I was doing like 150 twice a week for my workouts, added like with everything else, upper body, upper lower split. And a lot of the time people say it's like genetics or stuff like that. And I'm not denying that, but at the same time, it's been like 3 years of consistent hard work that's been put into this. So far, those are the two things I can say that I dedicated myself like really into. And now I'm trying to dedicate myself into this YouTube channel and see, how far I could take it to, like running it back, like how I did it back then. We'll see where that leads. So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to share, and to say that, failure isn't the end, and that you should continue failing with your head high. And life moves on, and eventually you're more likely to win, at least if you try, than if you were doing nothing at all. So just keep trying, and hopefully you get what you always wanted.